if he's playing such a deck, for sure he wants to surprise opponents, but he must also believe that it's really good. So let's see now if it's in action as our duelists open up for game 1.
I think it's very important for Melodious also to win the dice roll.
Oof, and I think he did not, and I saw a really strong opening from his opponent with 1-for-1 in the end. Yeah.
And I don't see hand ramps, I think, in George's hand, so we might see what exactly you said in the previous round, that he may choose to scoop
To prevent, yeah,
game 1 to
maybe.
prevent from opponent be ready for.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But for now, as you mentioned, if you are uninterrupted, we could see something similar. Let's try to take a look maybe at this extra deck to see if he's doing anything different. Yeah, still going for the Omega Dispater line, it seems. Yeah, nothing too crazy outside of that. We have seen some players going for a different line, but yeah, with like the Pit Knight, but it doesn't seem like he's going for that. So this will be the usual opening.
And we mainly see pure Snake Eyes, not something with Faruking or Castira yet.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, for anyone too unfamiliar with the Melodious deck, maybe not in this game, but in the next ones we will see what it's about. It's a fusion-based deck, and it can be quite tricky, as you mentioned, because it has a lot of cards that cannot be either destroyed or targeted by card effects or by battles. So, you know, when, for example, when you read it quickly, you then might make a mistake, because then you assume that you can just, you know, destroy it, and then you're caught by surprise. And this is exactly what George is trying to go for. But yeah, this is.
I believe that George just wants to know what build his opponent uses. So he wants to see if he's in Farkings or in the Synchro build. But at the end of the day, I'm more sure that he will probably give turn 1, give game 1 to his opponent,
Yeah.
so he can keep secret.
Absolutely. And it's also a deck that does play some pendulum monsters, so for sure he's happy about the anti-spell fragrance being limited. It stops both the fusion spells and the pendulum scales. And it's quite a unique deck in the way that you can also fusion summon from your scales, so it's definitely something that you don't see every day. And
I think it's the first time that you can fusion summon from your pendulum skills.
it's definitely a unique deck nonetheless. But for now, wow, Pete Anthony is going in, yeah. Gets
And
through.
Ibiru here may be very good from George's part,
Yeah.
but I don't know if he's running.
Wow, yeah. Going kind of disrespecting his opponent options, and this is the full combo that we were talking about. So this usually, you could have gone for different lines back in the day, but now this is the new combo. You go for the Omega, and here George could scoop it up, but he's not going to. So this could reveal some information from Anthony. And yeah,
Okay.
now he knows what he's up against.
So can we assume that George may have such a good hand in engine terms that he can break through a Snake Eye board?
Maybe, but at the same time, he cannot be sure, because as mentioned, there is a good chance that his opponent gets rid of another card with the Dispater, and then, for how good your end is, when you take 2 cards out of it, maybe it's the card that gave you the chance. So, but I think again, it can make sense to play a little bit, just because maybe your opponent is completely unfamiliar with your deck and you can get some edge. But wow, even as Ashen Veiler in hand to back it up, so it's a very strong start by Anthony.
One cool thing about the Melodious strategy is that if the spell, the fusion spell gets negated, you can use the second one.
Yeah, that's pretty strong, and it's it's one of the reasons why branded, although really popular, struggles is the the famous Ash Blossom unbranded fusion, and the Melodious deck can deal with that quite more efficiently. Yeah, but this is sick by Anthony. Not often you see a 1-for-1 discarded, not even activated. So he has everything he needs, and yeah, I think he is going for the line that we were mentioning. Yep. So for now, gonna go into Formula, I'm assuming. Yeah, so this is pretty nice. You go into the Formula, you get even more cars than the Dispater.
And he drew another Veiler.
Wow. So many interruptions. And yeah, this is exactly, as you can see, George already knows what's coming. The Omega is back, and it's gonna get rid of yet another card from George. And it is a Prosperity. Ooh, that was a good one. Wow, 2 Veiler
A scary
Nash.
hand.
What is this? What is this opening? Yeah. And that's it. So as you can see, the only downside is that you need to get rid of the temple often with this opening. But I mean,
I think at that time, if your opponent had Nip, he will already use
Yeah.
it. So it may be a bold move, but I think that it is all mind games.
yeah, exactly. It is a lot about mind games, because if you know them and you think they're gonna go for that instead of the Appaloosa, and you wait, then you can get rewarded. But you know, it's all about a mind game. Still, George is gonna try his best to stay in this, and he's gonna start things off with probably first, yeah, the Ostinato. So it's an Italian word, so at least I can tell you that much.
So it's an amazing card that lets you fusion Shaman
Mhm.
from your extra deck using monsters from your hand deck. But as I said before, the only restriction is that you have to not control any monsters.
Mm-mm.
But if he gets us, you can just use another copy.
Exactly. But there is no Ash. Wow.
Maybe his opponent knows about this and
Yeah.
he just wanted to play around the third combi, maybe because
The reason is one is gone, so yeah, like what is the chance of having 3 copies in the end? Yeah. I don't know. I think Ash felt pretty good in that spot, but it's gonna allow to resolve it. And this again, it's mostly due to the and yeah, it's gonna have to Ash now. So it seems. Well, no, yeah, it seems like there is a bit of confusion.
no, there is not a confusion.
Yeah, because you cannot. Yeah.
Yeah, the activate effects cannot be negated.
Yeah, exactly. So
That's what we said in the start of the round, that Melodious is very tricky deck, that if you
exactly.
don't know where to stop it, it can get you off guard.
And this is why George played really well, not scooping up. You never know, because if I'm pretty sure that if the Ash was activated on the Ostinato, it might have been even over. While now the game changes quite a bit, and
And shouts out to George for not trying to go directly to game 2, since he wanted to see if his opponent is familiar with Melodious.
yeah. Now he gets hit by the first effect Veiler. Yep, some clarification again from both.
But still gets to add, since the activate effect of Melodious cannot be negated due to the fusion.
Yeah, now he gets to summon back the IP. But first, it's gonna be George who commits, and as you mentioned, there is a very powerful link available to the deck, which basically can give you access to a couple of cards.
He has to ask this. Or I think he changed blocks it with the fusion, if I'm not mistaken.
But the problem is there is another Vader potentially. Let's see what is gonna happen if he wants to use it. And oh, yeah, and this was very well played because he knew about the Ash. Because due to the, let's say, misleap by Anthony, he revealed the Ash, and that's why George played really well by chain blocking it. But unfortunately, a second copy of Veiler. Yeah. Still, you know, he gets back at least one of his Pendulum Monsters from the graveyard. But yeah, now he has access to full information. He knows the last card in hand is the Ash, and there is the Dispater as well, who can, you know, works really well with the Omega because you get rid of the cards that they will get back. So it's very similar, yeah, to the previous interactions, and yeah, hurts quite a bit. Gets rid of the Ostinato. And let's see if George has an ace up his sleeve to fight back.
I think George played really well his turn. If his opponent had a second copy of Effect Veiler, it's something that you cannot.
Ooh, but he had a second copy of Prosperity. So his hand was basically, yeah, 2 copies of both. So
That's why he wasn't caring
yeah,
about
exactly.
Omega.
Yeah. And let's see. He has quite a few interesting cards to pick up. But obviously, are we going to see the Ash? Yeah,
Yes.
makes sense. Ash finally coming down. And now everything is on the table from Anthony, who is going to use this moment to even go for the Mascherena using the Dispater too. Okay, so free materials Apollousa.
And of course, Flammers will trigger
Yes.
for follow-up.
Asking if there is any response from George. But obviously the Apollousa now protects any potential interruptions on their side, so solid start. And yeah, as you mentioned, the Flamberge gets you that very well needed follow-up.
Yes, he will try to recycle back his jet.
And yeah, this is a lot. And yeah, George has seen enough, tried his best, and I think he would have made it if it wasn't for that second effect failure. Yeah. I mean, the opening was just too strong from Anthony. A full combo plus Ash and double effect failure. Honestly, not many decks can fight back. But still, we saw some of the potential from the Melodious deck. So now looking though into game 2, things change quite a bit. First and foremost, it's important to mention that Herald of the Orange Light is also, after a while, you know, it came back to 3 copies, and it's a great card because it works both offensively and defensively to prevent your opponent interruptions. But going first, he has access to other cards in his side deck. What do you think? Yeah, probably bringing yeah.
Then Ibiru, as we said before, because it's a very good card going first, since a Snake Eye cannot play through interacting with your board and also playing around Nibiru.
Yeah, absolutely. On the other hand, though, Anthony is probably, you know, the one more confused on what to do. Once again, maybe he looks, you know, at these drawn locks. He's like, are they good? You know, we cannot assume that he knows a lot about the deck. Other cards that could be interesting are Change of Art and Mind Control going second, but you don't know. The reason is, as mentioned, the deck can put up, you know, some threats that cannot be targeted by card effects, so that could be an issue. But
I don't think that Anthony though knows that.
For sure not. I would assume. So I don't know. Maybe he's gonna. Again, the good thing about winning game 1 is that you can always use game 2 as, you know, exploring, understanding what's happening, and then you know, trying to get as much information as possible to then adjust in game 3.
Exactly. When you win game 1 against a deck that you don't know,
yeah,
it feels very comfortable, since you have the game 3 that you know that you will go first, and you know what you're going to do.
Absolutely. Regardless, though, one of these to-do lists will try to advance with a 3-0 record. Solid start when there are 9 rounds. Basically means a third of the road is done. And I've talked to George as well before the match, and he told me that although he has been playing for several years, he has missed his really breakthrough performance, and he told me that this year he's really motivated to do well. He wants to at least top, make a good result, and he has been putting a lot of hours in. So let's see if that works for him.
I think this is shown also by his deck choice. It's not
Yeah,
easy to pilot a deck that is not well known,
for sure.
and we can understand that he has spent a lot of hours practicing.
Yeah, and it's a brave choice, and let's see if it will pay off. I think it's a full monster end from his opponent. Yeah,
But it's only Valor.
only one Veiler as interruption. Not the greatest of ends. Yeah,
Sometimes it's enough though.
yeah. Obviously, though, Prosperity is a great way to start things off from George.
I don't know how to read this Prosperity. From the one hand, when my opponent post side deck uses Prosperity as a first move, I can understand that his deck is not optional, since he may search for engine, because the best way for me to use Prosperity post side deck is to search for your going first card.
Absolutely, yeah.
But also, reading from his side deck, he may searching for a talent or something to play
Yeah,
around hand wraps.
it seems like it's one of those decks where you have a lot of free offs. It's not like you look for a specific one-off card. And okay, interesting option. If it goes for the first movement solo, I think, yeah. One of the cards that already came out, but really strong. Yeah,
He will have him extend and special summon deck for a monster from his deck.
exactly. And he gets to his pendulum. The refrain. And this is what we were mentioning in the pre-match discussion, the ability to fusion summon from the scales if uninterrupted is something that he can access. And
The scale will search the fusion spell.
which is the one concerto, I think, right? So, yeah. This is the
That's it.
card that came out in Legacy of Destruction as of lately, and this is exactly what is allowing him to fusion summon from the pendulum scales as well. And yeah, he is explaining to his opponent this Melodious Concerto activation. Again, sometimes all it takes is a good card, a good support card, and a deck can quickly become relevant. And this is some of what we are witnessing from Legacy of Destruction, which obviously, as we mentioned, Tempai, Lightswarm, a lot of good cards caught the attention, but you never have to underestimate, other decks as well.
Antonio also keeps waiting for his Valor, something as
Yeah.
we saw in the previous round. It was very good choice, and you have to be really patient to hold a Valor against a deck that you don't you are not
Yeah.
familiar with.
And I think he's also a little afraid of, game one, because game one, we could say he kind of got lucky with the win, but he risked, wasting and losing to the Ash Blossom. So now he must carefully read every card.
But
Because,
I think that
yeah.
we'll probably see the effect Valor now, because he read the link and
Yeah.
he understands that it's very
It's really
good.
good. Yeah, it doesn't take, much to understand how good the link is. Yeah. George is still holding. Ooh, but George has.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll see the call by the one off, and this is what we're gonna see now. Yeah.
And call
Wow.
by
Called by the grave, the one off, and you can see Anthony kind of smiling because he knows that's all he had. Unfortunately, the rest of his hand is just all engine, and now he's gonna pretty much sit in the back seat and just watch his opponent combo through.
I think it was like a payback from the second Valor before.
Yeah, for sure. I think so. And yeah, this is huge. Essentially, gets to summon Chu from deck, and then yeah, he's free to do whatever he wants. He told us that this deck usually can play around the Nibiru. So in this case, I'm not sure if he's that interested. I think he's gonna go all in, and yeah, it seems like that's the case.
So this is the card that we were talking before, that prevents your opponent from targeting or destroying by battle your Melodious monsters.
Again, very sneaky effects. And you can see Anthony just reading him carefully, because once again, he might lose this game, and that's fine. He still has a third one to try, but the more cards you read, the more you become accustomed with the deck, the more options you have for game 3.
Because it's not only making a board, you have to know where to interact
Exactly.
with your opponent.
Yeah. And yeah, now George knows that his opponent doesn't have a response, so he's gonna just commit to a huge fusion summon.
I believe it was another scenario like game 1, where your opponent, if he had Nib, he will probably use it there.
For sure.
So George probably knows now that he doesn't have to scare Nib.
Indeed. And now he's... he also is holding an Ash, which is not that bad. And yeah, here we see the Flowering Etoile. Yeah, can definitely be quite annoying. It's like a super Kirin, we could say. You can bounce back a lot of cards your opponent controls to the end. And it's protected right now by the other Melodious. So, very
And it's a
annoying.
way to play around Nibiru, because you can chain it like SP.
Yeah, interesting decision again from George to play this deck. He has I think a trap in his hand as well, so probably the impermanence. I don't know. Could be. Oh, and again, he drew the Ash as the 6th card, and
It's always the 6th card.
always the 6th card. Oh, I think he accidentally dropped a card, but yeah. It was the impermanence. So impermanence is activated, and the rest of his hand looks kind of grim.
I think I see Boldrake,
Yeah.
or is it a Witch?
No, it is Boldrake. But that's about it. The rest is another Ash, and I think maybe a Poplar, though? Okay. Yeah, no, there is a Poplar, okay. Okay, we do see the Boldrake. Again, it's one of those improvised cards. He saw a bunch of light monsters. He was like, okay, I might as well side some bestials.
However, I don't think that George has any Dark in his grave, so
Yeah.
Dark can take a monster from George. Because all Melodious are light.
And now I think George, I mean, he's waiting. Even if you just bounce both to the end, this would be devastating. It would actually pretty much be the end of the turn from his opponent. But for now, he's gonna wait. Battle phase is declared.
As we said before,
Yeah.
Melodious has very tricky
Very
effects.
tricky. And yeah, this is exactly what happened, unfortunately. He tried to swing, but didn't work.
It's important to Anthony to keep his head in the game, because when you don't know effects like that, it may get you nervous, but he has to think the ways that can help him win the game.
Yeah, and we gotta say that playing on stream doesn't help in this regard, because obviously, and yeah, that's exactly what just happened. He didn't find a way to break this field, and he was just like, okay, no, let's not waste time, let's just go to game 3. And George takes a game, so...
However, I think Anthony now has a lot of info. He knows some choke points of the deck, so I believe that he can establish a board and know how to interact. However, George is playing a lot of good hand traps, as you mentioned before. The Herald of the Orange Light, which is an amazing hand trap against Snake Eye, and he chose to side and Herald of Green Light, which is an interesting choice.
It's an interesting card. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the decision from some players due to the limitation of Gamma to also side into Lambda, you know, to have other options to be able to negate spells. And sometimes it's good, especially against the Fire King version, I would say. But we might see that from George. On the other hand, though, as I was saying, playing on stream is tough. And Anthony, for the second time, and I don't blame him, has played into kind of like George tricks. Or rather Melodious tricks, we could say, just being piloted well by George. And I think he really doesn't want, you know, to mess up or to just read wrongly a card. So, but I think he's, yeah.
As you said, you're not only nervous because you know you have not the advantage to make a loss since there's no top cut, and you're already nervous from that. You're nervous from the stream, and also you're nervous from reading all those cards. It's not easy.
No, absolutely. But I mean, he's gonna try his best. And again, the time is enough. They still have a lot of time to play this game free out. Around 20 minutes, I think, were remaining. But only one can advance with the 3-0 record and have a very good chance at, you know, going forward at the event.
And being the first Greek Open champion.
Exactly. I mean, that sounds really nice. So, I mean, I think every one of them would really want to be crowned champion. But yeah, they are about to side deck and be ready with the match. I'm pretty sure Anthony is just gonna try to keep calm, do what he does against every deck, his regular combo. It worked in a way, so probably the Omega Dispater could work again. But again, maybe we will see some mind tricks if George picks up an Nibiru of what we were discussing, whether you wait and try to, you know, kind of greed your opponent out, or you just play it safe.
It will be a very interesting play.
Yeah, I really am about all of these intrications. Yeah, it's quite interesting. But here they are, so pretty much ready, and one last game to crown the round 3 winner.
The handshake again.
Yeah, nice handshake. Yeah, nice handshake. We get to see the end of George first, and I see an impermanence for sure. While, okay, a really solid end from his opponent. So, ooh, Ash right away of the bonfire.
I think it's an interesting choice because probably when your opponent uses bonfire as his first move.
Oof, but we are playing. We are playing at super high speed. Droll was discarded actually by Anthony, and he has been met by both Ash and impermanence. So interesting choice. He's looking at his actual deck. I think he has a Hulk in hand.
Yeah, he can normal
an Ash. Oh, okay.
He can normal summon Oak to go to Hita into Princess.
Yeah, not the greatest, but
he can still have access to us.
Yeah, and that's what he does. And I think George might be out of interruptions. Is there anything to stop this Hita? No. Okay. Seems like that was enough. So now Anthony can try his best. And once again, we see this Ash Blossom surely
travel
being
a lot.
But yeah, traveling to his opponent's side. Another response? No. Okay. No, I was getting worried. Do you like keeping the Ash over the Droll as the option from Anthony in end?
Yes, because you can negate straight away the fusion spell, which I think it's very good.
Yeah. For what we had seen, the Droll didn't look too great against him, but yeah.
Yeah, I think he's already have the info of prosperity also, which is important, but
outside
I don't
of
think
prosperity, yeah, didn't look too great. So, as you mentioned, though, finds a way to get access to the Ash, and you can see maybe George kind of contemplating whether he used the...
He's probably playing around Nibiru here, but I think at this point, if he has also Nibiru with impermanence, he just have it.
Yeah.
You better he better go for a
for sure.
more strong board.
He does access the Flamberge, and yeah, with just Ash in hand, you try and optimize as much as possible. And yeah, as you can see, this is very strong stuff by Anthony.
He can summon the second Flambert. So when
Instead goes for the
okay,
Ash. Okay. Because he went for the Ash, yeah. Because he went. Yeah, I think he summoned Ash with Ash. So he needs to probably go back and change the target. So let's see, we are gonna quickly check the.
it's a repairable game state, so
Yeah, no, absolutely. Nothing too special, but I think he summoned another Ash with Ash, so he just quickly needs to change the target to a legal one.
as we said before, it's obvious that players are very nervous playing on stream and play on the line of not making a loss since they're both like XO. And as we mentioned, we have to keep in mind that
Yep.
this is an event without a top cut, so any loss can mean that you are not eligible for winning the event.
No, absolutely. But again, pressure is on the players. There is a lot on the line, and it's tough to keep track of everything, especially after you get hit by a couple of interruptions. But it's nothing too crazy. I mean, it's gladly got immediately checked by our judge, and then they are quickly gonna verify and change it to a legal target, which he had planned.
Did you like the Melodious deck?
I think it has potential for sure. I mean, obviously it's tough to judge without having played a lot of the deck, but I mean, I like these decks that have this sneaky potential to them. Because especially in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, we tend to focus a lot on the main lines and negations, but these old school effects of not being destroyed by battle, not being targeted, sometimes they get disregarded and they are quite relevant. We saw it with the illusion monsters, for example. I remember back in the Chimera branded decks where a lot of players disregarded the battle effect, and it actually quite relevant. So I think we can quickly go back to the table as the duelists are pretty much done checking with the judges, and as mentioned, just a matter of changing the target, not that big of a deal. Okay, so in the meantime, I think never mind. We actually go back to us real quick. Sorry guys, because we are gonna have to have the head judge over to verify whether Anthony has been given a previous warning. So I guess yeah, let's just go quickly back to us and then we'll verify this.
I really like the fusion monster from
Yeah.
the Melodious deck. So we're back in action.
Okay.
So Anthony probably has sighted out the second Flambers.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, and as mentioned, okay, there was no other penalty, and so it just got obviously a warning for the illegal summon of the second Ash. But outside of that, he just changed the target, and now he's free to continue his turn. Yeah, but that would be surprising, right? Because he's the one going first in this match. So, do you really think you should take
He
it out?
maybe
I don't know.
wanted some room for more hand traps.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
As you said before, sometimes you just feel like your combo will not go through. So since he saw that George is running a lot of hand traps,
Yeah.
he maybe chose to run one less copy of Lamberts and have more room for hand traps.
But yeah, now I think once again they are discussing it with George because unfortunately, as you can see, Anthony, we can go back to us while we wait for another call. We said it. It's not easy to play on stream. It's not
Exactly.
easy to play in front of such a huge crowd. And once again, Anthony kind of got ahead of himself with a play. Nothing too crazy, but the problem is that obviously when you perform an action, obviously even if it's not malevolent, you are issued warning, and when you're issued a couple of warnings, if the judge decides so, it can be upgraded to a game loss. So we'll have to check whether that is the case for this round or not. But in the meantime, yeah, we can quickly discuss what we have witnessed in this match. So Melodious, as mentioned, coming from some boosts in Legacy of Destruction. We saw one of the tools in the Melodious Concerto, and it seems like it's a deck that can work out. The main benefit, I would say, is the Heralds. They are really good. What do you think of the package?
Of course, playing Hero of the Orange Line is an amazing card because not only negates the effect but also destroys the monsters like Gamma, as you said before. And Hero of the Green Light, on the other hand, is like Delta, the other side frame that many players chose to use when Suffering Gamma was limited.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting card, and it's not only good against, of course, Snake Eye hitting original most of the times, but I think that it's very good against also the Senpai strategy because
Yeah.
it helps with the field spell.
For sure, and we mentioned also the popularity of runic decks this weekend. So
Exactly.
even against them, the green light can be pretty strong. But I mean, we have seen back in especially tier lament days how good the herald can be, and I think it makes sense. It's just an additional benefit of the deck. Outside of that, yeah, what can you say? It's about getting a surprise on your opponent when you can play such decks. We have been roaming the top tables, and there are some very interesting decks. It's always a matter of getting an edge, and when you can do it with a strategy such as this one, because honestly, looking at the reviews and the talk of the community is about the decks. We mentioned Tempai because obviously we have seen even in the OCG some impact, and there has been a lot of discussion on Tempai, a lot of discussion on Lightswarm, and so we can expect, although not fully, maybe that the players have read the cards. For Melodious, I wasn't expecting it as much, so
I think that's why George chose
yeah,
to play this strategy. Exactly,
absolutely.
because it was under the radar, and as we saw, it can make a lot of damage. It has the effects from back in the day, from like not targeting, not destroyed, and not destroying by battle or card effects.
Yeah, for example, again, in game 2, his opponent seems like he had some chances, but then there was the Aria, which is the one that protects even from the battle, and when his opponent with the Bolt Drake tried to enter the battle phase, he basically found out that he would not be destroyed by battle, and that is a huge deal. And yeah, I mean, it's working out for George. Again, he's 2-0. He's looking really good in this game 3, and it's something that you want to keep going as much as possible, because also I think the more you win in the early round, the better it is for you, because usually when you bring a deck that is an underdog, you prepare for the most popular matchup, that is Snake Eye. And on the other end, the chances are that the more win you have in the early round, the more you will play against Snake Eyes, and then that will work out. While if you lose early, there is a good chance that you will end up playing, other decks, and that is never ideal for such a strategy. So.
And this is a choice that you have to make for your build when you are preparing for an event. If you want to go through, and we are back in the game, I think.
But luckily, we just had our call, and we can go back into action. The penalties has not been upgraded, as the warnings were for different kind of penalties. So we could say that Anthony has to really be careful going forward in this event, but at least for this match, he's free to continue his combos. And I mean, I'm happy that the decision is fair to both players in this regard. So he's done. So nothing too impressive, but you know, with 2 less cards in your opponent hand, this is what he ends on. And
He has Princess also engraved, which is important.
yeah. Let's see if George can come up with a Melodious combo to fight back. Gonna take a look at his opponent graveyard. As you mentioned, the princess is there.
I want to see if the choice of Anthony to keep Ashen trolls
Exactly.
will
It will be
be the
relevant.
correct one. Yeah.
And we see the normal summon. And yeah, it just instantly uses the Ash. Is there a response from George?
Or he may have the fusion spell already in his hand.
Let's see. Really debating. Gonna come down to the wire because there is an option to go, you know, maybe even for an Appaloosa, an SP, a lot of different ones available to Anthony. The end.
George was checking about
Yep.
the attack of the snake eyes
It's
because they get boosted for
yeah.
the temple.
But it's a full monster end, unfortunately, in a way. But now he gets to extend. And obviously Anthony has not seen this card yet. And it's the Sonata. Simply an extender, we could say.
So it's an extender if you control a Melodious monster, you can special summon.
He's thinking probably whether he wants to enter battle phase to just force out some action from his opponent, or whether he can do something first.
Another tricky effect is that every monster per type gains 500
Yeah.
attack. That's why he asked about the attack of the snake
Exactly.
eyes.
But now, Anthony is not gonna fall for it, and he's gonna use the Mascherena to actually go for the SP Little Knight. Yeah, now he's asking, is there any protection? Of course, because he's afraid to fall into another trap of George. And
Anthony tries to play around the Link 2 of the Melodious.
Makes sense. And as you can see here, he's then going to use the Poplar to get back the Flamberge. Yeah, George allows it. And maybe surprisingly enough, the Sonata is the target instead of the Pendulum. Let's see now. 2 more cards in hand from George. Does he have anything to keep playing?
We should not forget that Anthony also has the Princess Grave, which is very important.
Absolutely. And the Divine Templar.
And of course the effect is the SP,
Yeah.
which is also relevant at this point.
But okay, just enters battle phase and crashes with the SP. It doesn't look too happy. Like, this would be a great moment for an Ostinato, but only monsters in his hand. And yeah, he's unfortunately done. And this is amazing news from Anthony. Gonna pick up a card. Let's see if he gets anything relevant going, but he doesn't really need to. He has everything he needs. There is no more response in the end from George. And unfortunately, although it was a very, very close match, it seems like it's going to be the Snake Eye deck that gets, the advantage in Game 3. And now we're going to see a new chain where the Flamberge is activated.
He will bring back the Oak.
And the Poplar. Yeah, and this is a lot.
He's taking if original is in the grave. So
Yeah, this resolves, so the Oak brings back another copy of Ash. And then he gets the original 2. Yeah, it seems like unless he does something terribly wrong, the game is in his hands.
He can link someone with Poplar, so he can place back Flamberts to play around Nibiru since he already controls the field spell.
Instead goes to Anima. Okay. Interesting.
He may be confident since already controls the original, and even though he gets Nib, he can also extend.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we know that this doesn't really matter because George is not holding any response. So it's just basically Anthony playing with his own doubts at the moment. So. And yeah.
And plays back the Flamberts.
Makes sense. He's really contemplating finding a way to go for this Celine, it seems. He keeps on going for it, but now changes his mind. Yeah. A little bit, unsure on what to do, but eventually.
I think he's trying for a Celine line.
Yeah, but I mean, the easy way, again, you have the Ash once again, but I think he already committed. Ooh, and now it completely changes his mind and goes for a 4. Okay. I mean, we know there is no response from this Zelantis. Sets up the Raging Phoenix Engrave.
He will summon back the Jet by discarding us.
Wow. He's asking, yeah, okay. Enters battle phase. Attacks. And I mean, the good news, even if it doesn't have enough, would have been that there are 5 minutes left, so any damage is relevant just to get ahead. But as you can see here, he has attacked.
Jet is also boosted through the field spell.
Yeah.
Although it's not the Snake Eye.
Wow, but this is it. Interesting line. Maybe he got a little bit ahead of himself in this spot, but as you can see here, he at least gets to use the tempo and then.
And now George can extend a lot.
Yeah.
Again, not targeting or destroyed by battle.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he had so much that he could do last turn, and maybe he was afraid, as you were saying, of a potential response. And can George get away with it? Is the question.
Sometimes you are scared of many hand traps.
Exactly.
You're thinking, what if he has Nib? What if he has Veiler?
And yeah, now he can, obviously he's going to try to play as fast as possible because there are 4 minutes remaining, but
we'll add,
yeah, the concerto. And the problem is now he's protected, so.
Princess is not
this
going
is
to
great. We could see an insane upset from this match. Wow. And yeah, as we've seen in the previous game, he gets the scales back. And could we find a way? Wow.
Arya is summoned under this Landis, which is very relevant for Pendulum summoning from the extra deck.
Yeah. Obviously asking for clarifications once again, and this might be yet another one that goes close to time. 4,100 life points of difference at the moment for George.
As you mentioned, George is an experienced player. He knows that the time is not in his side. So I believe that he's playing as fast as he can.
Yeah, it's tough. The time is not on his side, but in terms of comboing off, he has managed to, again, thanks to the area mainly, to keep his cars protected. And now he can access either the link or, yeah, makes sense. And again, as you can see, Anthony reading the area, which at the moment is the main reason why George is just going off. Yeah.
An amazing way to shut down Princess.
Absolutely. Yeah, the only concern is if he's able to do enough with the time that he has. Because honestly, it's looking like he would be able to win this game if it wasn't for that. Let's see. Yeah, playing as fast as possible, gets to special summon Shu, and this is looking really, really good.
However, the time is
Ah,
clicking.
yeah, he doesn't really have time to think, but now commits yet again to a huge fusion summon. Exactly what happened in the previous game. Managed to play really well while keeping the area around this entire time, and now extends yet again.
Less than a minute.
Impressive stuff from George. And yeah, again another summon. He might be able to do it. 40 seconds remaining. I mean, I'm not sure if our timer was updated because we have had a significant amount of judge calls, so that's the only doubt I have. Maybe there is a little bit, but yeah, okay. So 30 seconds. Oh my God, can you do it? Can he make the miracle? He attacks over the jet synchron, and again sneaky effects coming into play because of the boost, but at the same time he's gonna consider the boost of the field spell. Did he forget about that? Yeah.
Every Melodious due to Sonata gain 500 attack.
Because I'm getting worried that maybe George thought that, I don't know. Let's see, because the Raging Phoenix was there. It's gonna be close. And I think time is now over during the battle phase. Yeah. Oh. And yeah, final moments. It's all during this battle phase, the last phase of this round 3 and game 3. Now they have a little bit more time because nothing else can be done. But can he make it work? Obviously, we mentioned that there is the bounce effect available to George. And that's what he's going for. Is basically a compulsory-like effect that can get rid of a lot of cars. And this could work. Because it's bouncing everything back. And then attacking for game. Could this be it? I think he made it.
Yeah,
he does. Wow.